Now for some general tips and maintenance points. Often you will be cross-fencing a permanent paddock that is enclosed by a robust steel wire fence. With the beef pack, it's quicker and simpler to anchor directly onto the steel wires rather than using an end assembly. We've already seen how to attach a spool to a fence, but now for the other end. Wire up your release hook in the usual way, leaving yourself quite a generous tail. Pull it closed and hold it tight. Hook the wire under the first arm, tip it back on its side, and again with a slide and twist, snap the second arm onto the wire. Work the release hook to get your right amount of tail. Note that the wire you anchor onto needs to be quite firm, otherwise when you come to release the release hook, the wire could well absorb your pull release action. With a bit of practice, you can also snap the release hook onto a number 8 or even a barbed wire fence, and in that case it's even more important to use the slide and twist action. If the end of your poly wire becomes frayed, just snip it off. And if you have a very old spool of poly wire that's become stiff and doesn't work properly in the release hook, just add a metre or 2 of new poly wire. Note that the release hooks are tuned to be used with Kiwitech poly wire and may not work with other brands. Note also that corners in a fence line tend to absorb and cushion the pull release sequence used to activate the release hook. If you have bends and corners in your fence, you might have to go closer to the release hook in order to work it. Now onto some maintenance on the single geared winder. Your chuck will wear and it will eventually need to be replaced. The best way of removing it from the gearbox is to use an ordinary pedal and effectively drive the gearbox off the chuck. We just attach the new chuck as we were shown earlier when we assembled the single geared winder. Note that we can use the same pedal and pin firstly to prise the crank locking disc off, and secondly to drive the crank out of the crankshaft. If we place the chassis on the end of the bench, we can drive the gearbox off, and the same with the guide. There, the single geared winder disassembled very quickly. There's really only one more point to mention, and that is the beef pack does not come standard with a strap. Most farmers don't find the weight of a beef pack a problem, but if you're doing a lot of long fences on more difficult terrain, a strap could well be a desirable optional extra. Make sure you adjust your strap so that you have weight taken both on your shoulder and on your arm. Well, that's about it for the beef pack system. Let's move on to the sheep pack system.